Anthony Hatcher, a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist with an expertise in behavioral change. And today we're talking about water and hydration, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this comes from my personal experience with water consumption. So I was a copious consumer of water. I used to drink lots of water, probably in between 2 to 3 liters, and maybe on some days up to 4 liters of water, just because I thought it was good for me. Recently, I found that this may have been contributing to some of my health problems, such as high blood pressure, poor circulation, and and like some other things, such as I noticed poor digestion was the other thing I noticed from excessive water consumption. Obviously, water will dilute our stomach acids, and drinking copious amounts of it, you've got diluted stomach acid, and that can also create a pH change in the stomach acid, which is a protector from microbials that we don't want in our body. And so if we don't have adequate pH in our stomach, we struggle with the digestion of proteins as well as keeping out the nasties. So we certainly don't want to dilute our stomach acid. And if we have excessive volume of water in our circulatory system, then it can result in increased blood pressure, because the heart needs to work harder in order to move the fluid around the body. And you don't get as great circulation when it's working harder and the circulatory system is not working efficiently. So there's some of the things I've noticed from excessive water consumption, and subsequently I've reduced my water consumption. And then I thought, where does this come from? Is there a scientific proof that we need to drink 2 liters of water a day? And I found nothing of scientific literature to say we need, it's an arbitrary number, that we need 2 liters of water a day. I've come across clients in my consulting that drink very little water, but there's no signs of dehydration in their body. And so it's very much dependent on the individual and where they're from and where their genetics come from. So those that come from Africa are very good at not needing much water, or the subcontinent, and then you've got other places around the world that probably may need more water. But I question that, because is it our poor diet that is subsequently resulting in our need for water, such as, are we consuming too many carbohydrates and sugars, and we have blood sugar dysregulation, and is that making us copiously thirsty? So that's the questions I propose, because I've changed my diet and I've reduced my carbohydrates and I consume more fat. And what I found through the study of metabolism is that we produce metabolic water. And the advantage of metabolic water is it doesn't contain deuterium. Deuterium is a heavy substance that really affects our energy production systems. So if we drink water that's just filtered, then we are consuming quite large amounts of deuterium, which really affects our energy system, affects our mitochondria, and it can result in really poor health outcomes, such as chronic diseases and cancer. So we certainly don't want to be consuming excessive amounts of water, because we've only got the ability to remove so much deuterium from our body. So that's another question, as is excessive water consumption, or is it the consumption of too much deuterium, which is contained, we consume most of it through water, and also through vegetables, and through, I guess, processed foods contain a lot of deuterium in them. So that's another question, or the ugly side of it. I mentioned the not so good side is poor digestion and the increased increased susceptibility to microbial infections. So we certainly don't want that as well, and we don't want increased blood pressure. The other concern that I have with consuming too much water is what I just mentioned around deuterium, because that, if it builds up in excess in our body, is quite toxic to our body, and that can result in inflammation. And is inflammation coupled with blood pressure causing more heart disease? Well, that's another question that's proposed through consuming excessive amounts of water. And the other concern is, when you're consuming water and it's not good quality water, then you're taking in a lot of rubbish, such as if you're not drinking filtered water, then you are taking in a lot of rubbish that is in unfiltered water. So I thoroughly recommend, if you are drinking water, that you drink filtered water, but you don't drink copious amounts of it. How much should you drink? Well, base it based on your thirst. Okay, so if you're thirsty, then have a sip. Does that sip satisfy the thirst? Just wait a while and you'll find out. So go more on thirst. And the second one is start shifting around what you're consuming around your macros. So eat less sugars and eat more fats. We make more metabolic water through fat consumption. So if you become better at burning fat and being more metabolic have more metabolic flexibility, then you're going to produce more metabolic water. And that's what I found. I've been on this diet for probably a good 8 months now, and I'm consuming a whole lot less water. So my water consumption's gone from 2 up to 4 liters a day down to less than 1 liter per day. And I'm running really well. And even when I'm exercising, I find I get less thirsty and I need less fluids, even when I'm exercising. And it's most likely because of this metabolic flexibility I've created through changing around my macros by eating more fat and less carbohydrates. So that's really served me well, and no doubt will serve you well in terms of creating some metabolic flexibility. I also create this metabolic flexibility through fasting. So that's really been of great service to me. And so just in wrapping up this short episode, this insight around water and hydration, don't follow the recommended guidelines. Go based on your thirst and how you are, how thirsty you are. And then when you're consuming water, consume filtered water and drink it slowly. Don't drink it fast. And continue to look at shifting your diet so that you create more metabolic water by consuming more fats. So that's it for this insightful but short episode of Me and My Health Stuff. Please leave any comments or any suggestions in terms of future episodes in the comments below. And I look forward to sharing more insightful content over the coming weeks. Stay tuned for more insights. Thank you.